Hi, I'm Kate Noble. I'm here at Shine Yoga, and you're tuning in today for a slow flow practice. So I like to use this type of practice when I've been feeling a little stiff, a little fatigued, and we'll just take our time as posture link into each other with the breath to sink a little deeper into some of the individual postures. So there'll be a little bit of alignment coaching here as well as we move through this practice. This practice, as far as level-wise goes, there's not a whole lot of strength challenge in this, with the exception of some downward facing dogs and some standing poses, so pretty basic postures for this practice. Just to remind you, nothing should ever hurt, particularly in your joints. And a big part of yoga is our breathing. So make sure that your breath is smooth and steady and regular, and that you feel really clear in your mind so that you're not feeling lightheaded or dizzy. And if you have discomfort, that you should stop and modify. And if those symptoms don't resolve, to make sure you follow up and make sure you're okay. All right, so we're gonna do a little bit of breath work before we start moving, because a lot of times when a busy-brained person does a practice that requires us to hold a posture for a little bit of time, it can feel a little agitating, actually. So it's good for you to give your mind something to do if you're that kind of person. And if your mind tends to wander, then it's also good for you to have that focal point of connecting back into your breath. So go ahead and sit comfortably. I usually like to sit up on a little bit of height. It's got a blanket. And the thing that you want to make sure is that your back is moving pretty much up straight, but not tipping backward at the pelvis. So take your seat. Your legs can be in whatever position is most comfortable for you. And then as long as you're comfortable to do so, close your eyes. And if you're not comfortable to close your eyes, just let them be soft. Let your gaze soften. And then allow yourself to turn your mental awareness more fully inward. And again, focusing on the breath is a great anchor inward, pulling your attention inside your body. Without critique or judgment, allow yourself to acknowledge the way that you're breathing at this time. Notice how as soon as you notice your breath, it likely shifts a little bit. Maybe gets a little smoother, maybe a little deeper, maybe a little more balanced on the inhale and the exhale. And then feel the relationship of your breath and your body. And when you breathe in, see if you can't encourage or allow your whole body to expand a little bit in every direction outward. And then feel your energy pull back inward as you breathe out. So breathing in, there's a sense of expansion, and breathing out, there's a sense of contraction back into your center. So yes, the breath is going out, but your energy pulls in. Breathing in, a sense of expansion. Breathing out, a gentle sense of contraction. Imagine it like a gentle, energetic hug into your core, in and around your heart, helping you to center and ground in the moment. As you breathe in, feel that new energy coming in, maybe helping you to feel a little more enlivened, invigorated with the inhale. And feel the way that the exhale gently encourages a sense of relaxation, of release, a softening, of settling. So we can start to balance our energy, the simple act of conscious breathing. If you would, bring your hands together in front of your heart. And a regular part of my practice is to be clear about the intentions of the practice before I begin. So I've stated that we're just going to go a little slow today. We're going to take our time in the posture. We're going to pay attention to the breath and think about energy balance in our body, in our heart, and our mind as well. But maybe you have other intentions for this practice that you want to take a moment to clarify for yourself. And then I'll chant the sound of Om, and if you would like to at home, please feel free to join in with me. So the sound of Om is this sonic symbol of interconnectedness, that even though we are individual parts and in this time parts away from each other, in the big scheme of things, we're part of each other. So acknowledging that sense of independence and interconnectedness, as well as remembering that symbol of the Om. The Om will help you to clear your lungs and the respiratory system so you can breathe clearer and fuller as we move through the practice. So we'll begin the single Om by breathing first out through the nose and back in. Let your breath return back to its state of fullness and balance, smoothness. For a moment, just bow your head towards your heart. Let the heart lift up as your head looks down, letting the back of your neck gently lengthen, as well as stretching the back of the neck, just an honoring of the energy of the heart. And then you can circle your wrists and wiggle your fingers. And give your shoulders a good roll. Move your head, neck, however feels good for you. Okay, now we're going to come to our hands and knees. And I like to put a blanket under my knees to pad this soft spot underneath the kneecap. So feel free to do that if you like. And then we'll begin in table on all fours and just start to move through a couple rounds of cat-cow. So you're just arching and rounding to start. Feeling into your body. And in whatever way feels natural, start to coordinate your movement with your breath. And then let your body start to move in other ways, less restrained or restricted ways, just kind of letting the body have a voice of its own, letting your body move in the ways that feel interesting, comforting, awakening. And even as you're moving organically, try to keep that sense of rhythmic breath. You might think of a steady beat that helps hold a piece of music together. All right, we're gonna come onto our stomachs for Sphinx pose. And you can move that blanket out. I'm just gonna keep it there for a bit for me. So you're coming up on to your elbows. And then we'll start to soften the side waist, just swaying side to side. And you can feel free to let your head and neck move as well, side to side. Stay connected to your breath. It's a little dreamy in this kind of practice. And then bend one knee, it doesn't matter which one, and circle your ankle a couple times in each direction and wiggle your toes. And then same thing other side. And let your head hang down. So again, you get a gentle stretch of the back of your neck. And let your head move around a little bit there. Both feet down, flip your palms upward. Try to get the thumb side of your hand to press down. You're gonna try to keep the arm bones on the ground, but then curl your first set of knuckles, second set of knuckles, and then pull the whole hand towards you while you try to keep the back of the wrist on the floor. So you should feel a nice stretch in the back of the wrist. This is to help counter all the down dogging and up dogging we do. And then circle your wrists. Wiggle your fingers. Place your hands by your low mid-ribs and push up and back to child's pose. Child's pose has that sweet name, but it can be hard on knees and hips and low back. So you could do puppy like this instead, or let your hips press back on your heels. This is actually a pretty challenging pose in my body, so I'm already getting a pretty good stretch. If you're comfortable, put your forehead on the floor. Go ahead and place your head down. Couple of breaths, breathing into your lower back. Since the belly probably can't inflate much against your thighs, think about the way the belly would inflate and send that energy to your lower back. And then walk your hands to your right. Letting your left side waist stretch. Go the other side. Back to the middle, and we'll take a downward dog, but you can also just do puppy if you prefer. And we're gonna hold this downward dog for a little bit of time. So feel free to hold static steady or move your body a little bit. So you can bend one knee and stretch the other leg straight. You can let your hips rock. You can let your head sway. You can move in any other way that might feel good in your body. Focus on your breath here. And then just nice and easy, walk your hands and feet towards each other and simply come standing tall. Stretch your arms overhead and then turn your palms outward and press them. Really reach out and away from the center of your body. And as your arms come down, press your shoulders down, but have a sense of lifting your heart and your head up. So you're not slumping to the ground. There's really a sense of opening up around your heart center. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead, turn your palms outward, press them out and away. A couple times, just move organically now, breathing in, reaching up, exhale, releasing down and out. Let your head go up and down in rhythm with your hands. So you don't need to watch your hands, you're just letting the head and the hands rise and the head and the hands fall in coordination with your breath. This will be the last one. Give your shoulders a good roll when they reach the bottom, and again, move head, neck. All right, we're taking Bandhasana pose. This is a squat pose. Bandha is a lock, so it means lock pose. And the lock is that we're working on a gentle engagement in the pelvic floor and the low belly. So you want your sitting bones to move back, the top of your pelvis to tilt forward, and then with your pelvis tilting forward a little bit, you scoop your tailbone down. So if I scooped my tailbone down and let my pelvic bones pull back, my back would be rounded. So you let the top of the pelvis tilt forward and then just tailbone down, and then low belly gently tones. Keep your knees bent and then lay your belly on your thighs and let your head relax down. Feel free to shake it out. And then walk your hands forward and your feet back for downward facing dog. And come forward to knee plank. So the knees on the ground, tip your chest forward. Find those bandhas, the locks. Tailbone down and inner low belly in and up. And then bend your elbows straight back to lower to the ground. So we're gonna take this long, low cobra, and I'm gonna go ahead and move this blanket out of the way. So for this long, low cobra, bring your feet close together and point your feet straight back. Try to get your pinky toe to press down even with the big toe, just so that you're not in external rotation like this. So feet straight back, pinky toes down. Squeeze your quads, so you might feel your knees lift up a little bit, and then find those bandhas, tailbone down, inner low belly in and up. Bring your hands forward onto your fingertips as long as that's okay in your hands. Don't think about lifting your chest up yet. Push down through your fingertips and then lift your shoulders, so that's your arm bones. Lift your arm bones up up by your ears, and then roll them back, and then press them back and down as you reach your heart forward. So you should feel tone in your shoulder blade area. Also apply tone in your low belly so you're not crunching into your lower back. And then as much as it feels good, lift up and forward a little bit. And then lower back down, take a pause of the pressure. Inhale, stretch forward first and then up, and then let yourself sway side to side. Head can sway. If this is too much effort, you could just be in Sphinx pose and sway. Connect to your breath. Encourage your mind to kind of get lost a little bit in this type of practice. Place your hands by your low side ribs, curl your shoulders back, hug your belly back, push up onto your knees into child's pose. Breathe into your lower back. Down dog. Pause and hold. Deep breaths. Think about pressing the tops of your thigh bones back, but at the same time stretching your heart forward so you get traction and length for your spine. And then walk or hop if you want to, your feet to your hands, and come all the way up standing tall, arms reaching up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. For a moment, let your eyes close. Connect back into the smooth, steady rhythm of your breath, and have a sense of the physical, muscular energy in your body at this time. Allow yourself to acknowledge where you're holding, where you're gripping, and just see if you can soften a bit. And then as you breathe in and you feel that natural expansion that happens with your inhale, imagine that your whole body is expanding wide, deep front to back, tall from bottom to top. And with your next exhale, relax your hands down, breathe in, reach your arms up, let it be a giant stretch, really reach. Your hips press down, your rib cage lifts up, lift up through the skull, and then soften, waterfall down. So we're moving between strength and release. Step back, downward facing dog. Hinge forward to plank. You can take a classic plank, or you can put your knees on the ground, elbows back, belly back, shoulders back, slow lower. Point back through your toes, press your heart forward as you curl up into cobra or upward dog if you prefer. And then hinge back, either to child's pose or puppy pose or to downward dog, your preference. And we'll hold this for a couple of breaths. You can hold static or you can massage-y move. Feel into your body, feel the pockets of tension, and see if you can take micro movements that help open them up and breathe into them to release held tension. From here, walk or hop your feet to your hands, stand tall. Hands to heart center, eyes to close, we pause. And again, checking in with the breath, checking in with our mental focus, working to bring ourselves to a state of easy awareness, gentleness of thought, letting go of excess tension, and then feeling the tension in your body. And if you find excess there, to practice softening and letting it go. With your next exhale, release your hands down and breathe in, stretch up. Exhale, waterfall down. We're stepping back to lunge, so just slide your right foot back. Now, you can put both hands inside of the front foot if that makes things more comfortable for you. Or you can keep it positioned, one hand on either side of the front foot. Push down through your limbs. So push down through your both hands and both feet. And as you're pushing down through your hands and your feet, you might feel your core activate. And if you feel your core activate, then use your core to stretch your spine longer forward and soften into your breath. We're gonna bring the right knee to the ground. You can pat it, you can slide that blanket back under there if you like. You're gonna keep your right hand down, spin the right hand outward a little bit and roll your right shoulder out and stretch your left arm to the sky. Take a deep breath here. Now I have tighter outer hips, so that will take my leg into external rotation. And sometimes I resist that. Sometimes I keep the foot forward to actually help stretch this out. But because I'm looking for more of a release and opening in this practice, I'm gonna let that foot turn out and just really focus on this nourishing breath. Feel into your body. Give yourself the freedom to make micro movements that help you feel better in the practice. Good, we're gonna release out of this and just change sides. So step your right foot forward and left foot back. We're holding lunge. Pushing down through the limbs. So there's a little bit of power there. It's this isometric contraction hold. Connecting to breath. Arms and legs are strong and spine is long forward. So if we're not moving, it gives us a little more opportunity to work on the breath. Bring your back knee to the floor, left hand to the ground, circle the right arm up, and position your right foot on purpose in the way that feels best for you today, whenever you're practicing. Deep heart breath here. Good, release. Step back to downward facing dog or puppy or child's pose. Again, push into your base, your hands and your feet. And as you push down into your hands and feet, lift your hips up. Think about length. So you're not necessarily thinking about pushing back. I'm gonna push down through the bottom and lift up through the top, and then let your heart soften down. Hinge forward plank on your feet or your knees. Slow lower down to your belly, toes point back, heart reaches forward, curl up, and then press back to child's pose. If you prefer puppy or down dog, you can take one of those. I'm gonna cross my arms. Makes it a little easier for my head to rest down in child's pose. Make yourself comfortable for about 3 breaths. If you're not already in downward dog, we're going to turn to downward dog and then just nice and smoothly walk forward, feet to hands, inhale, stretch tall. Mountain pose, Tadasana, exhale, hands together in front of your heart, close your eyes. And again, this is a purposeful position. So it's not just that we're pausing, we're not just resting, we're really allowing this posture to be a place to observe the breath and the energy of our mind, of our intention, and as well the energy of the physical form, the body, and working to bring it into a state where there is a sense of steady ease. With your exhale, release your hands down, breathe in, reach up tall, exhale, waterfall down, step back, down dog. We'll take the right leg up and back behind us. If that feels challenging, you can put your left knee on the floor and be in bird dog form. With the right leg up, feel free to move into your favorite version of this posture, or you can move the leg around in the way that feels best for you. Connect to your breath. And then step your right foot forward to replace your right hand and spiral up to warrior 2. So your right knee is bending, the back leg is straight. Strong through your base, and then lift and open through your upper body. Bring your right elbow to your right thigh, your left hand on your left hip, and then look down at your left leg and move your hip back behind you so that your outer hip bone lines up with your outer ankle bone, rather than your hip pushing forward over your toes. So your hips are back in line with ankles and knees. Stretch the left arm to the sky and just think about widening across your chest and between your shoulder blades. We're gonna come back to this pose and do a little more. So we're just taking this moment in this more static form. Again, balancing energy, pushing down through the base, but then encouraging expansion, a sense of feeling more open and free in your body. Good, bring your hands to the ground, step back, down dog. Now, throughout the rest of this practice, I'm gonna cue that you have these options. So you can just stretch in downward dog to neutralize. You can rest back into a child's pose, or you can flow through the vinyasa, which is where you come to plank, chaturanga, cobra, or up dog. My preference is cobra. You can take up dog if you prefer, down dog. Sweeping your left leg up and back behind you now. Bend the knee, open your hip, and take that moment in the way that feels best for you. Couple more breaths here. Again, being static or moving. And then step left foot forward, or you place your hand and spiral up to warrior two. Take a couple breaths in this upright form, pushing down through base, rising up through spine, opening through the heart. And then take side angle, left elbow to left thigh, right arm alongside your ear. Look down at your back hip and move the hip back. Now, it might make you lose your balance for a moment. If you're used to doing this pose with the hips pushed forward, moving them back and then trying to lean back through your torso might feel a little strange, but it will help you rebalance in your core and you'll get a better side stretch. Reach the top arm straight to the ceiling, and we're going for a width between the shoulder blades and across the chest. Focus on your breath. Full inhale, complete exhale. Release. Step back, take your choice. Down dog, child's pose, or the vinyasa. So how much do you want to move during this practice? How much do you want to rest during this practice? That you remember those intentions that you laid out in the beginning. As you're ready, walk or hop your feet to your hands, and inhale, stand tall, arms reaching up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center, eyes to close. This meditative moment, turning awareness inward, regulating the breath, feeling your muscle energy balance so that you are strong without gripping, that you're not holding unnecessary tension. You're letting go of unconscious tension, letting your body relax a little bit in its stance. Good. All right, Utkatasana. Bring your big toes together, flare the rest of your toes out, and then come down into a squat. As you squat down, think about keeping your heels grounded and your pelvis neutral. So some people are forward tilters and some people are backward tilters. And you want to try to keep the pelvis you want to try to make sure the pelvis is not tilting. So going as low as you can with heels down and pelvis neutral. So for example, I can go here with pelvis neutral. I can go lower if I let myself arch, but I don't want to do that here. I want the pelvis to stay neutral. Arms reach up overhead, find your breath, especially if your legs are getting fatigued. Inhale, stretch tall. Exhale, swan dive forward. Hinge from your hips, stretch long. Walk or hop your feet back to downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here. Sweep your right leg up and back behind you. Step it forward to high lunge. Spiral up to warrior two. Hips back, not pushed forward. So your belly strong and your tailbone down, and arc back. Reverse warrior or warrior goddess, whatever you like to call it. I like to call out the goddess here. Good deep heart breath. Hinge forward, side angle pose. This time stretch the left arm alongside your ear and really reach through your side waist. Good full deep breaths. And then start to move that top arm just in whatever way feels best for you. So maybe it's just your fingers and wrist. Maybe you get a little elbow movement. Maybe it feels good to move that shoulder in small or big ways. And let your arm and your head hang down and try to shake out your rotator cuff. So that's behind your shoulder blade. Try to get the arm to get limp and a little stretchy from the place where your arm connects to your body. Good, release, head back, down dog. Take your choice, down dog, child's pose, or vinyasa. Moving in a mindful, aware, connected pace. Inhale, left leg sweeps up. Step it forward, lunge, warrior two, and reverse it. Breathe into your heart, pressing down through the base, lifting up through spine, open through heart. Side angle, arm alongside your ear, make sure that hip stays back, connect to your breath. Move your top arm however feels best for you. Maybe it's a little different on this side, that's okay. And then let the head and the arm hang down. And step back. And one more time on this round, take your choice, down dog, child's, or vinyasa. Walk or hop your feet to your hands. Bring the big toes together, bend your knees, and then come upright through your torso with your arms reaching overhead. Try to find neutral pelvis for you. So not excessively tilted forward or under. Nice and balanced. Inhale, stand tall, relax your arms down. Give your shoulders a good roll backward. And then bring your hands right to so your hip bones are these crescent shaped bones in the back. Bring your hands to those pelvic bones. Look down at your toes for a moment. When you did that, it will have moved your hips back, so outer hip is over outer ankle. Use your core and try to keep it like that, and try to keep the same shape in your belly and lower back. Push your hip bones back into your hands as you start to lift your heart up. Curl your shoulders back. Maybe begin to back bend, but be aware of when your hips start pushing over your toes and try to resist that. Just think about more than bending back. Think about lifting your heart up. Lift your chin, find your breath. Good, then bend your knees, hinge from your hips and pour forward and down. Step your right foot back so that your left foot is forward to lunge. And we're gonna bring the right knee to the ground. So you can pad your knee if you'd like to here. Push down through your base, lift up through your arms, and really have a sense of working to get some space between hips and ribs here. Find your breath, and then we're gonna wrap the right elbow outside the left knee. Alternatively, right hand can come to the floor, you can twist open. So find the twist that works for you. Press your right elbow into your left knee and hug your belly back. Think about keeping your hips square as you let them soften slightly more forward. And then if you're gonna twist more, twist through your waist. Curl your left shoulder blade back. And if you like going in a deeper version with your arms, you might bring your right hand to the ground, your left arm to the sky, outside the foot, see mine does not reach. And then some of you might wrap where the right arm goes under the left leg and hand comes behind. Don't force those. If you know those, feel free. Otherwise, just appreciate where you are. Good, release. And we're just gonna go right into the other side. Right foot steps forward, left foot steps back. Bring the left knee to the ground. And press down through the base as you lift up through the top. So our right foot is forward. I might look opposite from you, that's okay. Find your breath. Lift up through your ribs. And then twist. Hand can come to the floor, arm can come to the sky, or you can go in for that deeper version. Create a little traction, so a little resistance. Left elbow into right knee, twisting through the waist. Good, full deep breath. Couple more breaths in this variation. And if you're working those deeper arm positions, go ahead and move towards those. Mostly when I think about when we're taking these slightly longer holds, it's really to give the muscles time, not just to stretch more, but really to relax more into the posture. Good, from here, unwind, stretch back to downward dog. And again, take your choice, down dog, child's, vinyasa, or other. And then walk or hop your feet to your hands. Press down through your feet and legs. Inhale, rise tall, arms stretch up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center and eyes to close. Mountain pose. It's time to encourage a sense of stillness, acknowledging structure, thinking about the steadfast quality of the mountain and the way that it roots down to rise up. Think of the way that the air thins at the top of the mountain, and allowing any mental fogginess or heaviness to thin as you hold this steadying, clearing posture. With your exhale, release your hands down. Breathe in, reach your arms up. Turn your palms out, press them out and away. Good backward shoulder roll. And move your head and your neck. All right, we're gonna take goddess squat. So we're just gonna take the legs wide apart. You can just turn whichever way that you like on your mat. Let's see, let me think about this for a moment. You'll move with your right foot first. So if you want to put your right foot to the front of your mat, that will probably make viewing a little easier. So we're going to squat down, and in your squat, just let yourself rock side to side. Think about just softening through your hips and your pelvis. Particularly if it's at the end of the day, or you feel like you've been carrying a lot of heavy mental, emotional weight, or just kind of softening things up. Bring your hands to the ground and then parallel your feet. Your knees are still bent. And with your knees bent, you're gonna press your hips back and stretch your spine forward. So if there's any rounding in your lower back, you're trying to neutralize that. So neutral spine has got a little concave curve. And then stretch your legs more straight. Try not to let your back round. Stretch your ribs forward, your head forward. And then exhale from your hip hinge, fold. Let your head relax down. We're gonna hold this for a couple breaths. If you're a more advanced practitioner and you love a headstand, this is an opportunity to catch one here. I'm gonna stay grounded. It's hard to talk upside down for me. This is a couple breaths in this posture, whichever one that you've chosen. Wide-legged forward fold or Shirshasana headstand. If you're in headstand, work your feet back down to the ground. If you're in wide-legged position, walk your feet in just a little bit, maybe another half inch closer. Hands to hips, inhale, come up standing tall. Turn your feet back outward, and we're gonna flow a little bit with the breath. Breathing in, reaching up. Exhale, bending the knees, water falling down. Inhale with arms like wings, sweeping up and out to the sides, and exhale, waterfall down. With your breath in, rising, energizing, and with your breath out, releasing, letting go. And if you know lion's breath, you can do the lion's breath here, particularly if you've got a lot of pent up inner energy that you want to clear out. So that lion's pose, as you're coming down, you stick your tongue out and curl it down, eyes look up, and you can roar if you want to. So I'll give you a good roar. Breathing in and then you could vocalize a little more, a little less. Maybe a whisper. Just one more. That's a fun one to do with the kids too. All right, Skandasana lunges, so side to side lunging, just rocking your hips side to side. Just enough to loosen things up, so you don't need to push or press, just kind of feeling your end range of motion that's comfortable in your body. And if you are comfortable to go deeper, you can let your hip sink down towards the floor. Try to keep both heels grounded. So as you're bending that knee, that heel's gonna wanna lift up, but I'm gonna encourage you to try to keep it down. The other toes, though, they can lift up. So straight leg, toes lift, but you're working to keep both heels grounded. Working your way back to the middle and up to the top. If your feet slid out real far, you can walk them back in a little bit. With arms like wings, inhale, sweep up, and exhale, walk or hop your feet back together. Just take a pause here, take a breath. Have a sense of bringing your energy and your focus back into your center. And then maybe you can think about what happens when oil and water have been mixed and then they have time to separate. Let a sense of heaviness help to ground you and allow there to be a sense of lightness that naturally arises when you settle into the moment, when you settle into the truth of what's here. Some of it might be heavy, and you let that help center and ground you. And then open up for that sense of lightness to arise when it's ready. All right, we're gonna go back to wide-legged, so you can take your feet nice and wide apart. We're gonna take triangle, so I'm mirroring you at this point now. So you're gonna turn your right foot outward, and then turn your left foot slightly inward. Stretch your arms wide like wings. Think about bracing this standing knee. So you want it to be straight, but not hyperextended. So if you push into the ball of your foot, it'll activate your calf, and you'll lift the calf up slightly, but then you squeeze your quad and think about making your leg longer. So you're pushing down through the shin bones, and lifting up through the thigh bones, through your waist, stretch your arms, and then hinge. So it's fine to put your hand on your shin as long as you're not pushing down, hyperextending the knee. And then of course, some of you might be comfortable to go a little deeper. If you put your hand in front, just notice that you might be tilting forward through the chest. And if you can touch the floor and put your hand behind you, think about your hips and your heart both moving back. And then as long as it feels okay in your neck, turn your head, look up. Good deep breath. Don't let the knee hyperextend. Squeeze your quad, squeeze your calf. Good, push down through your feet and legs. Inhale, rise up tall. We're gonna take that same slow setup for the other side, so we stay equal. So your left foot is now turning open, your right foot's turning in. Make sure that your hips are back over your heels, not pushed over your toes. And then push down through the ball of the foot and lift up through the back of the shin. And then squeeze your quad. Instead of thinking about stretching your leg by pushing your knee down, lift it up. And then arms wide like wings, lift up through your heart. And then hinge from your hips. You can put your hand on your shin, just make sure that you're not letting the shin collapse. So you push the shin up into the hand a little bit. And of course, you can go deeper if that feels good for you. Couple of nice deep breaths here. Turning the head upward if that works in your body. Good. Pressing down through your feet and legs, inhale, rising tall. Parallel your feet and then wiggle or walk or hop them together. This time let your arms relax at your sides so you take mountain pose. Take a deep breath in and imagine your breath physically lifting up your heart, Let your shoulders rise up by your ears a little bit and then roll. So this is actually the top edge of your shoulder blade. If you look at an anatomy book, it's got this hook up here. Think about lifting that shoulder blade hook up and use the top of your shoulder to press your whole shoulder blade back, and then instead of pushing them down, just let them soften down. Make sure that you've not pushed your ribs forward, so gentle tone in your low belly. Tailbone down, inner low belly, in and up. Heart lifts, crown lifts. Let your eyes close if that feels good in your body. Inhale, open your eyes, stretch your arms up overhead. Come down through Utkatasana. And then we're gonna wrap your arms towards your right leg. So your left elbow comes outside your right knee. Press your palms into each other. Press your elbow into your knee and think about broadening through your chest. Now, you can stay here or you can give yourself a little balance transfer change. So you would slide the left foot back to prayer twist. Stabilize your pelvis. Stretch long through your spine. As much as it feels good, twist through your waist. And you can keep your arms like this, or you can take one of those other arm positions, arms stretching out or wrapping. Take a deep breath. If you step back, look at the ground and step your back foot forward. Inhale, lift up tall. Exhale, squat and rotate to your left. Right elbow outside the left knee. Square hips, long spine, twist through your waist. Look up if it feels okay. If you're gonna transfer weight, look at the ground and slide your right foot back. And then re-emerge into the twist as much as it feels good for you. Connect to your breath. Look down at the ground. If you stepped back, step forward. Inhale, reach tall. Relax your arms down, shoulders roll from front to back. Okay, hands can come to the backs of your hips again, or you can interlace your fingers behind your back for a little more of a stretch. Slight bow, hips and belly back. Lift through your heart, lift your shoulders up, curl them back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together to open your chest. Maybe float your arms up and back behind you a little bit more. Bend your knees and exhale, hinge. Shake your head out and stretch your legs only as straight as it feels great. Remember that idea of energetic balance, that you're not straining. Release your hands. We're gonna come down to this little low squat. So you can let your heels lift up if your body needs that when your feet and knees are together like this. Sometimes we squat and we've got a wider stance. It's a little easier to keep the heels down. Both are challenging for me. Squeeze your feet and knees together. Hug into your core. So hug your belly in a little bit, but then soften your breath in your chest so it's still easy. And see if maybe you can float your hands up off the floor. If that's hard, maybe you put them out to the side. See if you can find a little bit of balance that way. Connect to your breath. Good. Bring your hands to the ground. Press your heels down. Stretch your legs straight. And pour your heart and head first forward and then maybe down. Press down through your feet and legs. Inhale, rise up tall. Relax your arms to your sides. We're gonna take tree pose here. Getting close to the time we're gonna start to move closer to the ground for some more gentle stretches, but we'll take the standing pose here first. Standing on your right leg. Lift your left heel and bring it to the inside of the leg and make sure you maintain your core balance, and then you can start to work that leg up as high as it feels good for you. And then sweep your arms up overhead. Find a sense of connection to your breath. And if you want to make this a little extra challenging, you can bring your left elbow to your left thigh and lean to your left. So you get a bigger right side body stretch, a little bit more of a balance challenge. Inhale, sweep your arms up and switch sides. Your left leg grounding, your right heel lifting. Find your balance and then start to work the leg up to the amount that works best for you. Arms can sweep up overhead. Just keep your arms straight up overhead if that's where you're working, so don't rush to go to the side bend. And again, if balancing is hard, you can put your arms out to the side. And then as much as it feels good, lean to your right. Good, full, deep breaths. Good, inhale, come upright. Bring both feet to the floor. So we'll take Malasana, squat pose. So this one, your feet will go a little wider and you're gonna try to keep your heels down. It's tricky for some people. If you had a blanket nearby and it's hard for your heels to stay down, you could put a blanket just under your heels, not under the whole foot, just the heel. Okay, so feet slightly wider than hip distance apart, but turn your toes straight forward. And then you're hinging from your hips. You're gonna send your butt back and let your pelvis tilt. And then maybe your hips can come all the way down towards the floor. If that works out, your elbows can come inside your knees and let your forehead rest on your hands. Take a couple of breaths here. If you have knee issues, you can just be in a supported squat. This is a great alternative. And although I won't go through the steps of arm balancing, if you love getting an arm balance in your practice, you can grab one here. So you can come to Bakasana, crow pose. If you're proficient in your headstand, you might catch another one here as well. So maybe the head comes down and the feet go up. The next place we're going together is on your back. You can bring your feet to the ground and recline back. When you hit the ground, stretch out big and full. Arms overhead, legs down long. Apply a little pressure so you really have a sense of expanding outward. And then give your knees a good hug into your chest. If it's okay for your body, lift your head and shoulders up off the floor. Let your head come back down and just rock a little bit side to side. Think about using your elbows like bumpers so you don't go too far to one side or the other. All right, we're gonna take cactus pose here. So bring in your arms up, your elbows out. Bend your knees. Take your knees to the right and think about gluing your left shoulder blade to the floor. You want to, as much as you can, have your hips stacked right on top of each other. And think about stretching your spine long. Good, deep breath here. Breathing in and out of your chest, in particular in this posture. And then bring the knees to the middle and on over to the left. Get that right shoulder blade root down powerfully. And then add on the lengthening of the side body of the spine. Deep heart breaths. All right, we're gonna flip over into our stomachs and stretch into our quads. So you're coming to Sphinx pose, up on your elbows. Cross your left arm in front of you, bend your right knee with your right hand, reach back for your foot. Curl your right shoulder back. Don't let it collapse forward. You can hold on to the outer edge of the foot or the inner edge of the foot, and if you're holding the inner edge, you can press your heel a little closer to your hip. You want to make sure that you're keeping the knees moving straight back from your hips. Don't let them go too wide apart away from each other. Connect to breath. Release and switch sides. Holding on to outer or inner edge of the foot, whatever works best in your body. Rooting your tailbone down, connecting to your breath. Good, release. Cross your arms and let your head rest down with your head turned to one side or the other. Your choice, we'll do the other one in a moment. And just take a couple of breaths here, this passive side neck stretch. Keep the breath flowing fully. All right, so this is one version of Makrasana. Makrasana is a sea monster, and there's a couple different versions of this posture that are completely different. This one is a back bend. So you're gonna bring your hands in line with your low mid ribs and get your shoulders back. Hug your belly also back. So your belly is hugging back and your shoulders are hugging back. Bend both knees. And then you stretch your heart forward and start to curl your shoulders back. So it's just like cobra with your knees bent. But you wanna make sure you keep the belly back, that you don't let yourself collapse in this pose. Think about pressing your shoulders and heels towards each other. Lift your heart, let your eyes look forward, and the back of the skull can press back. So I'm not looking up to the sky. My throat stays open. Good, release, cross your arms, let your head turn to the other side. Connect to your breath. Okay, we're gonna take another back bend. So we're moving to Dhanurasana, which is this one, hold, hands hold, ankles or feet. But if that's hard for you, you can just repeat Makrasana. So place your hands on the ground or on your ankles or your feet. Press your feet back to lift your heart up. Keep your tailbone down and your belly up so you're not overarching in your lower back. Breathe in, open your heart. Press your feet back to lift your heart. Let your shoulders roll back. Release. Cross your arms, let your forehead rest straight down this time. Couple of breaths. Press back to child's pose, hips on your heels. We're gonna come to low lunge, step your right foot forward, both hands to the inside of your right leg. Let your hips soften forward and down, but don't push them. You have gravity, you have body weight, you don't need to push here. Take a couple of good deep breaths. Keep your left hand on the ground and gently twist to the right, and then if it feels okay in your body, bend your left knee and with your left hand reach back for your foot. And then you can stay in this form, or if you feel like you need more of a stretch, you bring your left elbow to the ground. So you're in a forward fold, a twist, and then a bit of a back bend, curling that right shoulder back, lifting your heart up and forward. Deep breaths. Good, gentle release. Press back onto your left knee with your right leg stretching towards straight. So we're looking for an intense hamstring stretch, but we don't want to bend round too much, rather through your lower back. So if you're really hunched, you can just come upright and take a little bit of a lean in. I'm on the more flexible side, so I like to put my right arm down in this case as a brace and put the left hand right against the right foot, and then I push the foot back, and it intensifies this engagement back here. It just feels really comforting in the stretch. Good. Gentle release, change sides. Left foot's coming forward. The right knee is back and down. pausing for a moment to really feel that sense of good connection to your breath. And then right hand stays down, you twist to the left. And bend your right foot, or your right knee, and reach back with left hand for foot. Twist, maybe back bend a bit. Maybe come into that forward fold variation. Play with leverage, so play with where you're contracting in and where you're expanding out in order to bring a sense of evenness to your body, as well as to your energy field that's affected by body, thought, and feeling. Good, release. This is our last kind of downward facing position, so take your last down dog or child's pose, puppy pose, your choice. Walk feet and hands towards each other, hinging from your hips. Fold into the forward bend that feels great for you. Not too shallow, not too deep, just right, kind of Goldilocks feeling. Come down into a squat of your choice. You want to grab another arm balance, you could do that here. And then have a seat. All right, so we're gonna sit for a couple postures, and I do encourage for most people a little bit of height. So beach towel works great at home, folded blanket if you have one. And we'll take butterfly. So let's bring the soles of your feet together. Grab a hold of your shins, just whatever position feels good for you, and then lift up through your chest. Feel that resistance that gets created, like your arms are kind of like these supports that as you lift up through your chest, it'll press your lumbar spine a little forward. Let your chest lift, let your lower back rise, press your shoulders back. You can hold in this version, or you can hinge from your hips. Just make sure that you're not rounding backward. You either want to stay upright or that your navel is moving forward, not back. Don't worry about where the knee height is. We're really going for more openness through the hip, not downward pressure for the knee. And your feet can just be whatever distance is comfortable. Come upright, take your legs wide, put your hands behind you, and tilt the top of your pelvis just a slight bit forward. And then hug your belly back so that you're not over tilting. Stretch your arms overhead. If you collapsed, you can keep your hands behind you and just lean back. You can keep your arms overhead, stretching like this. This will build flexibility and strength for you. Or if you can hinge from your hips and it feels great, hinge, forward fold. Use your arms like kickstands here so they're supporting your weight. You're not pulling forward, you're kind of leaning in. And generally, breath by breath, if we're not forcing ourselves, our body will soften, and you might, breath by breath, move in a little deeper. Making sure that you're working in the realm of comfort and ease, especially as we're winding down this practice. If you're close to the ground, but you're not really ready for your head to press down without this rounding thing that happens, you can cup your hands so that the heel of your hand goes right on the cheekbone, and then this part of your hand goes right on your brow, and it's this kind of sweet space to support your head and rest your eyes. Okay, coming up, and we're gonna come lay down. Put my little shawl back on, start to cool down here. We're gonna do a few more stretches together and then relaxation. All right, so windshield wipers. Feet are wider than your hips, And you're gonna rock the knees just gently side to side. Have a sense of your thigh bone, the top of your thigh bone, right here on the side of the hip, rolling in the hip socket. So it feels a little massagey. Let both your knees drop to the right and stretch your left arm over your head. So you stretch this whole left side of the body. An option here is that your right ankle can go on top of your left knee and then you press it away from you. So you're not pushing down, you're pushing out. The knee might go down. And make sure you don't feel any pressure inside your knee. Good deep breaths here. Release and let the legs rock side to side a couple times. And then legs drop left and the right arm reaches overhead. Breathe deep into your right side waist. And then maybe take left foot on top of the right knee and press away. Unwind. Hug both knees straight into your chest, press together, and then in towards you. Lift your head and shoulders up if that feels okay. Tuck into a tight ball. Let your lower back round. Bring your feet back to the floor. Cross your right ankle over your left knee. Head rests back. Heels of hands, the tops of your thighs, and press your legs away. So you should feel a little lengthening in your lower back there. Good deep breath. And then you can stay in this form or you can bring your left knee in closer. I'm going to work even a little deeper in this one. So you can come up and you can hold your right ankle or you can baby cradle. Now, you want to make sure that your foot doesn't do this, which is called sickling. So you got to keep the inner ankle flat and you don't want to feel any strain in your right outer knee doing this version. The left leg can extend out. Maybe the leg can press down. I'm trying to get this part of my thigh to press down. And then maybe also the head goes back. Couple more breaths in your version of choice. Release, nice and slow, and just switch sides. Left ankle over right knee. We'll go through all the steps. Thighs press away, heart lifts up. Full deep breath. Maybe the right leg comes in. Connect to your breath. Let your mind calm down. Lift up, baby cradle, if that feels good in your body. Right leg extends, and then as you lower it down, make sure your hip doesn't pop up. So try to press the top of the right thigh down. Release the head back if that works. You might not be able to do both. You might need one or the other up. Fine for the knee to be a little bent as well. Good. Unwind. Happy baby. So you work both knees towards your armpits, your feet to the sky. Can rock a little bit side to side there. Hands can stay on the outer edges of your feet, or you can take them to your inner knees. Stretch your legs wide and circle your ankles and wiggle your toes. Deep belly breath. Okay, almost there. Cross your right knee over the left and drop your legs to the left. And then cross your left arm up and over. Your right arm will grab it and you pull it across the body. So you should feel a stretch behind your left shoulder blade. Deep breath there, especially if you feel tension. Unwind and rewind the other way. Left knee over right knee, let the legs drop to your right. And then cross your right arm and pull it over with your left. Let your head look left. Big deep breath behind your right shoulder blade. Unwind. Stretch big and full like a star. Both legs out, arms up and out, and really reach. Point your toes, stretch through your fingertips. Hug your knees back in tight. Lift your head up if that feels good in your body. Bring your feet to the floor. Let your head and shoulders press back, and just very gently lift your hips. So we're not going for a full bridge. This is one of our very last postures. We just want to lift the hips and then press the pelvis away. You could even use your hands a little bit there. It's not super effective. If you love bridge, so if you're pretty flexible and you love bridge, you can lift your hips up and slide your hands under to support your pelvis. Release. Stretch your arms straight overhead this time and reach your legs down long. Make your body as long as you can. And then relax. Bend your knees a little bit and just rock your butt side to side. Just kind of shake it out a little bit. And then for a moment, constructive rest. So you bend your knees deep. Lift your hips up, tuck your pelvis under, lay it back down so it feels nice and neutral, comfy. Let your knees knock knee together, bring your hands to your low ribs. As long as you're comfortable to do so, close your eyes. And we're gonna rest here for a moment. Take a couple good deep breaths. Let your lower back relax. Let your inner thighs relax. Feel a sense of softening and settling. And then nice and easy, extend one leg straight out. Move it to the side in the way that feels best for you and let your ankle drop open. And then do the same thing for the other leg, slowly extending it straight out. Repositioning it gently to the width that is comfortable. And then let the ankle drop open. Make sure you feel comfy in your pelvis and your lower back, and feel free to adjust. And then extend your arms comfortably out to the sides with the palms turned to the sky so that your shoulders move into natural external rotation. Let your eyes close if they're not already. Feel into your breath and into your body. And if you feel that there's any adjustments whatsoever that could make you more comfortable, take them so that you really feel comfortable for these last few moments. So now the major movement has come to a sense of stillness. We still have micro movements, right? We've got blood moving, our respiratory system is working, our cells are metabolizing. So there is a lot of micro movement within your body, but the big movements have come to stillness. So allow yourself to acknowledge your comfort level with stillness. And as much as anything else, embrace this as a practice, that you are looking to cultivate a sense of steadiness and release of tension. So a deep softening, a deep allowing, a deep letting go. Sense of surrendering. Bring your awareness again to the rhythm of your breath and that sense of feeling the breath in the body. Even as you're coming to relaxation, to encourage the breath to be full. Taking time to receive the breath in as completely as you can with an inhale. Perhaps savoring it for a moment before you give it back And as you give it back, to really let go completely and fully. If you tend to be a big thinker or a busybody, stillness can feel uncomfortable and unsettling unless we take the time to practice it. And the benefit for practicing is that it does allow us to switch our nervous system from the fight, flight, freeze state to the rest, digest, and most importantly, the healing state. That while stress is motivating and helps us get things done in our lives, we all need time to heal. If you've been holding a lot in or working through a lot of challenging thoughts or situations, you might even feel emotional as you relax. And I would encourage that. Let yourself have the release that you might need. Maybe you can come back to that feeling of oil and water again, letting anything that feels heavy sink now to your back and into the earth. And maybe you can picture a pond or a small lake. And you might imagine this silty, heavy, sticky, mucky bottom. Which is actually quite rich in nourishments for new growth. So things that are heavy, you can let them sink to the back and to the bottom, to the ground. And as all that is heavy and sticky and dirty settles back, you might even imagine just releasing any excess to the earth. Thinking of the way that nature recycles herself. And as all that is heavy and sticky and dirty and mucky sinks down, there's a sense of clearing in the body of the water. Have a sense of clearing in your body, in your heart, in your mind. And perhaps you can envision a lotus flower that does take root in the deepest, darkest, muckiest parts of those bodies of water. And it has a sense of knowing the possibilities on the surface, of the light, of the air, of the space, of the sky, of a sense of becoming more free. And so it grows up through the water, rooted deep in the dirt, stable against the currents, and then unfurling its leaves and allowing its flower to blossom on the surface, existing in its own brilliance, and its brilliance also a gift to the world around it. Maybe you can, for a moment, feel a sense of lightening in your heart and your mind. Just remember that this feeling is here, and the more that we practice, the easier it is to pull that feeling up when we need it. Take a couple good clearing, cleansing breaths, letting go of the excess muck. I'm going to keep a little because it grounds us. But let go of the excess. And feel the blossoming of your heart, of your spirit, of your inner light. And then stretch out, big and full, and just gently move your joints. You might move your head side to side or kind of crescent shape its movement, ear to shoulder, ear to shoulder. And roll your wrists and your ankles and wiggle your toes and your fingers. Take any other movements that might feel good for you, and then gently come to one side or the other and press yourself up to sitting. As you come up to sit, have a sense of that heaviness that grounds us. And then let there be that sense of optimism, hope, determination to be okay if this is a challenging time. Space for the lightness, space to appreciate the good things, the small moments. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. And we'll finish with an Om together, breathing out through your nose and back in. Om. Returning to your breath. Bow your head towards your heart. Release the hands down, gently open your eyes. Just top off your practice with a little head movement, little shoulder movement. It's good to be here with you in this way today. Give yourself a little snuggle maybe and open up. I hope that you take good care. If you are watching this video on our YouTube channel for Shine Yoga, you can visit our website, www.shineyoga.com, to find out about our studio. And also, if you're watching during the COVID closure, it's going to be a while for yoga studios to get back to full business. So if you'd like to help support our studio, we'd love that. We're just taking donations at this time. And you can find out how to do that on the website. All right, everyone, take good care. Namaste.